What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm gonna be taking you with for my shoulder day, show you how I kind of work on getting those nice rounded off shoulders, just cue you in on some of the things I do to help with that mind-muscle connection. You know how it is. So, without further ado, let's get juicy. All right, so let's start out for the shoulders. I like to do a face pull, but I pull way over my head, right? Almost making like a Y in the YMCA song, because it just helps me connect with my shoulders a little bit and not so much my back. It helps me really focus in on those rear delts. So this is kind of what a set looks like here. Now I like to go for high reps and super controlled. And you can't really see it, but I pull behind my head. Yes, this is the first exercise. It's going to help you connect with the shoulders, help you connect with the rear delt, and just get you ready to go for your entire shoulder day. So for the second exercise of my shoulder day, I like to do a cable lateral raise just because I'm fresh, right? So I can give this a ton of effort and really focus on my side delt there and really work on getting wider on my shoulder. So I like to have it up a couple clicks from the bottom, because then when I'm here, I have way more tension because I'm still at that kind of 90-degree angle to my shoulder, right? Whereas if it was down here, you lose a lot of tension at the bottom. So get it to that nice 90-degree parallel point. And I like to start across the midline, right? Midline of my body. And then pull up just above the shoulder, a slight elbow bend, just above shoulder level, and then controlled on the way down, bring it just past that midline and right back. Don't hold at the bottom though. This is what it should look like. Get there and you're right back, because you don't have as much tension at the bottom as you do at the top. So you really want to focus on having tension and controlling the eccentric to put as much stress and strain and time under tension on those shoulders as possible. So I'm going to jump into a working set here so you can see what it kind of looks like. And on shoulders, I'm just a high rep fan, so I'm shooting for 10 plus reps on these. Oh, and you'll see me banging out partials on these. It's just another way to force a little bit extra reps in there and a little more fatigue into the muscle, and to make sure you're just hitting failure, and doing reps as in close proximity as failure as possible, because that's what's going to help you grow, right? So that's why you'll see me banging out partials on these. I think it's a key part of the movement that really helps make it way more fatiguing and way more taxing on your shoulders, and it's just going to force them to grow, which that's the whole point, right? Get big old boulder shoulders. All right, so third exercise of the workout is just a machine overhead press, and you can alternate these with machine or with dumbbell. I'm just doing machine today because I don't have a spotter, and so I can take everything to failure and not be worried about injury. So just a safer option for today. So on these, again, I'm 10 plus reps. I like hitting high reps, and I'm doing 3 sets here of got it at 90 pounds right now. So we'll see how this feels, but all right. On these, the slow eccentric, again, super important with a big squeeze at the top, right? Those two like indicators are going to help you make sure you're hitting your shoulder as optimally as possible, getting that mind muscle connection, and then getting a good pump in there as well. So always remember, slow eccentric, which is on the way down, and then you can kind of explode up for the concentric, and make sure you get a good squeeze at the top, but you don't have to lock out the elbows. You can keep them just like there, just a slight bend in that elbow, because when you lock out, you know, you have that risk of hurting your elbow a little easier. So that's why I don't necessarily full lock out. I get pretty close and then I stop. Oh, and I'm gonna hit a drop set just to up that intensity a little bit. Oh, it's just the little tricks like that, right? Whether you do a drop set or a rest pause set, just those little tweaks in there to help it bump up the intensity a little bit can make a whole world of difference in your training. Because you might think that you're getting close to failure, but you might be leaving a couple reps in the tank. So if you can drop that weight and get closer to that proximity to failure, you're going to see way more growth. So always trying to get to failure as much as possible. Obviously safely and controlled with a weight that you can handle. Unless you're more trying to go for strength training, then you might sacrifice a little bit of the control for a little bit more explosiveness and pushing that weight. But I'm going for more of a hypertrophy style training, and that's kind of what this workout is designed for. So I control everything, go higher reps, just for a better mind muscle connection, better pump, better fatigue, because I'm not necessarily trying to push weight. I'm trying to just burn out my shoulders. So that's why you see me slow and controlled on everything. All right, so for the last exercise of my shoulder day, I do dumbbell lateral raises. You might be thinking, didn't we already do a lateral raise? And to that, I would say, yes, we did. But this is a workout when I'm trying to really prioritize the width of my shoulders. And so to do that, you need to really focus on those side delts, right? There's just no other way around it. The side delts will give you that illusion of being wider and bigger from that front pose. So I've just really been trying to focus on the width in my shoulders and looking wide from the front. So this is a much more side delt focused workout. But with that being said, I like to finish with dumbbells, and I have 20-pound dumbbells here. And when I'm doing these, again, super controlled. So I'll put it up just even with my shoulders, maybe slightly above, control the way down. Don't pause at the bottom. So get here, right back up. Just like that is kind of what that rep's going to look like, right? Because if you pause at the bottom, you're losing that time under tension on the shoulders, which that's what we want during any workout is time under tension. So keeping as much time under tension as possible is key. And I like to finish out with dumbbells because you can cheat rep on dumbbells, right? Which I will show in this working set. But once you hit failure, you can start to throw it in to push past failure. So on these, I hit 3 sets. First set, just with the normal weights. And then I push past failure with cheat reps. And then on the second and third set, I will do a drop set. But both my working set and my drop set on those last two will have cheat reps involved with them. So that's just another way to always be right at that proximity to failure and trying to force as much growth as possible. All right. So this will be my first working set, just so you guys can kind of see what that looks like. And in that working set there, you saw me do the partials before I got into the cheat reps. Again, trying to be at failure and doing whatever you can to essentially push past failure. Like, those are the money reps, you know? Those are the reps where you're putting money in the bank account. That's where you're saving up, you know? Like, that's the analogy I like to use is your normal working set, right? You're just paying the bills. Once you're pushing past failure, that's when you're stacking your bags and making real money, you know? So that's kind of how I look at it. Once you get to failure, you're done with your 8-hour day. Everything past that's overtime. And who doesn't want to make a little more money, right? Just who doesn't want to get bigger? That's kind of the way I look at it. So I don't know if you can really see it, but hopefully I'm looking pretty wide. I look pretty wide in the mirror, at least. That's the goal of this workout, right? Is just get nice, big, wide shoulders. Like, how do we feel about that, gents? And then straight down to my side. Look at that, looking nice and full. See some striations. That's what we're looking for. Look at that, rear delts, nice and rounded. It's just the side delts, man. Getting that nice pop. That's exactly what you're looking for. So for the second and third sets with the drop set, I do a 50% drop. So since I'm doing 20-pound dumbbells, I will drop it to 10-pound dumbbells for that drop set. And in theory, I should still get the same number of clean reps. So if I get 10 clean reps with the 20s before I start doing more partials and then cheat reps, I'm going to make sure I get 10 clean reps with the 10s. And even if that means I got to pause for a sec and do a couple more, and then I get into my partials and my cheat reps, I'm just super focused on getting back to that same rep count. So and then straight into it. Don't give yourself a chance to recover. Push the envelope, boys. Ouch. Ouchie, mama. Both hurt, but good hurt. Means we're growing, eh? All right, everybody. So that's my shoulder day. That's what I've been doing for the past 4 to 5 months, and I've just seen some unbelievable shoulder growth from it. Just some key points to remember, right? One, the eccentric part of the movement. Slow on the way down, slow on the way down. Controlling the weight and time under tension is going to lead to more growth than anything else. Number two, make sure that you're really warming your shoulders up properly and getting a good little good little pump in there before you start your shoulder day, because it's going to help you really connect to those shoulders and feel them throughout the entirety of the movements that you're doing that day. So that's why I love that starting off with those face pulls, because it helps me feel the shoulder, connect with it, and it's not an overly taxing movement, so I don't lose reps or I don't give up the potential amount of weight that I can do throughout my workout by starting with those. Because that's one thing too, is you don't want to overexert yourself on that first movement, because you're not going to be able to push as hard through the big boy movements of your workout, which is going to be those side delt movements and then the overhead press, right? Because that's what you're trying to grow. You're not, like, obviously you want to grow the rear delt, but that's not the priority of your shoulder day. Priority of the shoulder day is just to get wide, get thick, big boulders. So that being said, hope you enjoyed the workout. Give it a try. Let me know what you think. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Have a great day, everybody.